What is going on, guys? James from Shimwrecker Enterprises back here with another video today. I'm looking at the camera as opposed to sitting behind it and talking about a bowling ball review this time. It means this video is going to be a little bit different. This weekend I'm driving down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for the regional that's happening at Myrtle Beach Bowl. It's the first time I bowled a regional in about 4 years or so, I believe. Been kind of pushing myself more outside of just whatever random house shot tournaments I can find. Been bowling more sport tournaments, really enjoying those, and really wanting to push myself more, and figured this is a good way to do that. So, wanted to take a few minutes today and just kind of talk through what I'm bringing, why I'm bringing that, and what I'm leaving at home, because I have quite a few bowling balls. I got a Phase 2 and a Zen right here. Been throwing both of these a ton. Got a lot more behind me and a lot more in my closet right now. So I'm going to kind of lay everything out for you. This is an option for this weekend and explain what's going, what's not, and kind of my thought process behind that. The pattern chart, which I have right here and you will see on screen right here, is the pattern this weekend is the 2021 version of PBA Shark. It is a pattern. It's 48 feet long. It's got 26 mils of oil, which is a pretty substantial amount of oil. But it is also a very, very long pattern. I've practiced on this a few times already, and from those practices, it's not a ton of volume per square inch, if that makes sense. So while you do need the stronger balls to be able to make the corner down lane, you don't necessarily want to be throwing a really, really strong cover. Like, believe it or not, my Phase 2 hasn't looked great on that pattern. My reality is probably not going to see much, if any, use this weekend, just because if you use those really strong balls, they actually use up a lot of energy in the front part of the lane and don't really have any energy left to be able to get through the pins properly once they do get down lane. It's not a terribly difficult pattern. It's not a terribly easy one either. The ratio is 2.56 to 1, according to the chart I've got here. So it's that plus the center characteristics. I've bowled at Myrtle Beach Bowl several times before in other tournaments, mainly on their house shot. So I know I have a decent feel for the building already, but it'll obviously be a different challenge with this. The level of competition is just going to be miles beyond anything else in the area, just because it's pulling in a lot of people from out of state as much as anything else. So it's drawn a lot of the really, really good bowlers are going to be here this weekend. So it's going to be a different challenge. Really looking forward to it. So anyways, let's get to talking about some arsenals. Alright, so you can see here I've got 4 bags laid out. I'm planning on taking up to 12 with me for this weekend. I'd really rather not take more than that. I'm probably not going to use half of it, but I definitely want to make sure I have some options for when I get there, just in case the lanes don't do exactly what I expect, which the best plans, in my opinion, should always be those that are flexible and able to change with the situation at hand. So let's start with these 2 bags I've got right here. These are kind of the old faithful balls that I've been throwing a ton and using pretty much everywhere. We've got a Reality, we've got an Insight, we've got a Phase 2, we've got a Zen, we've got an Idle Synergy, and we've got my spare ball. I don't really think these need a whole lot of explanation. I've been throwing these on pretty much everything for the last month and a half. Really, really, really high level of trust in all of these. I know what they do. I know they work well together, and I'm very comfortable with all of them. Bonus part is when I've been practicing on longer patterns like Shark, the Insight, the Zen, and the Synergy in particular have all been absolutely nails on that. So I'm expecting that these will probably see a whole lot of lane time this weekend. So then from that, let's kind of look at this 3rd bag, which I'm calling kind of the main supplement bag. This is filling in major obvious gaps and needs that are not covered by this Core 6 right here. So looking briefly at what I've got laid out here, this is pretty much everything else I've got that fits my hand at the moment. I've got an Axiom, a RST X1, a Rubicon, an Axiom Pearl, Rubicon UC2, Ordnance C4. I've got a Trend, IQ Tour Solid, IQ Tour Emerald, All Road, High Road X, Hustle Inc., high road pearl, a pitch black, and a booyah. So this is everything else I've got to work with right now. So I'm kind of looking over this, thinking in my head, number one, and I think this is the most glaring omission out of this Core 6, knowing what I'm going into this weekend, is my high road pearl. Especially on longer patterns where it can get really crispy later in a block. Having that option to really get down the lane and recover to where I can just kind of float it to the spot and let the ball do the recovery for me down lane is going to be really, really important. That is the high road pearl's absolute wheelhouse. It is incredible for that. It is great on friction, and I very much love throwing that ball. So that one is in. Next one, I think I'm going to choose my Axiom for this. This is a choice that has come a little bit out of just knowing the center. I've bowled at Myrtle Beach Bowl several times previously, not on sport patterns, but on their house shot. But regardless of that, I know that it doesn't have a ton of friction in the front part of the lane, in the lane surface itself, or at least that's the impression I get. And the Axiom has looked very, very good for me there in the past. So I think the Axiom is in. It might not see a ton of use. I'm going to tend towards the Phase 2 most of the time if I need that type of reaction, just because I trust the Phase 2 a little bit more and I know it better. But I do really like the shape of the Axiom, and if that type of reaction is there where I need that like bigger, smooth, stable type of shape, then I think the Axiom and the Phase 2 will play off of each other very nicely. So that gets me to 8 right there. Number 9. What should I do for number 9? Number 9, I'm actually going to put in my High Road X for this. So this ball, just drilled this one about a week and a half ago, I think. I've already made a good chunk of change with this at a couple of tournaments. Is kind of, I see it as a high road pearl type of reaction that I can throw on fresher conditions. So if I need that kind of like boomy downlane shape that I get from the high road pearl, but I don't want it quite as far down the lane as the high road pearl, I think the high road X is going to be really good for that. It's kind of almost an IQ Tour level of friction response for me, but just with a slightly different shape, just because the IQ Tour has a little bit rollier of a core inside of it. And it's another ball that I don't know it quite as well as the others, and I don't trust it quite as well as the others that I've already got in there. But I do think that it'll be, it's kind of one of those, I feel like I can take a flyer on a ball or two with this if I'm taking this much gear with me. So it's pretty much either I take the High Road X or I take my IQ Tour Solid. And the IQ Tour Solid I haven't really been throwing a whole lot recently. It's just kind of hasn't really fit my eye in situations where I needed it. And there were a couple times when I was bowling on friction and I needed something like kind of in that same strength range, but that would go through the pins, and I felt a little more confident with the High Road X than with the IQ Tour Solid for that. So that gets me to 9 right there. Let's see, what do I have left? I've got the RST, I've got both Rubicons, got the Ordnance, Axiom Pearl, the Trend, both IQs, All Road, High Road, Hustle Link, and the Urethanes. So this is probably going to sound a little crazy given that it's on a 48-foot pattern and it's dead flat from 9 to the ditch. And I'm pretty sure the ditch does not play at Myrtle Beach Bowl. But I am putting in a urethane. This is just kind of protecting myself, essentially. If urethane is there and I don't have urethane, then I am screwed. The odds of me throwing this for anything besides possibly as a spare ball if I feel like my plastic is backing up too much, pretty much 0. But with that said, I'd rather take, especially if I'm taking 12, I'd rather have it with me and not need it than not have it and need it. So that is 10 right there. Looking over what I've got left, I'm kind of torn between several different options. One of them is this Ordnance C4. I drilled this ball about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Tobias, if you're watching this video, thank you for inspiring me to drill this ball. Kind of saw something that was like a phase 2 type of shape that gets down the lane a little more and booms a little harder, but while still being controllable. Haven't gotten a ton of lane time with it, but it does feel like one of those, if it is there, then I'm going to have a really lights out type of reaction. So it's kind of not necessarily, it wouldn't make it into the trusted side of my bag, but kind of over on this side where I can take a flyer on a ball, I actually think it kind of makes sense to bring this with me. So I'm going to put this one in. So that gets me, that's 11 right there. So let's see, big covers. So I'm kind of thinking front to back at this point. I want to put something else in where I don't really have that reaction type, the way the ball shapes covered by anything else. Just kind of looking for something very, very different from everything else in my bag. So let's kind of look at it from a front to back perspective. Big covers, I got the 3 in the bag on the right, the reality, the insight, phase 2, and the axiom. The ordnance and the high road X are kind of middle of the road lengthwise, a little bit of different friction response between those two. Urethane is its own beast, and then these 3, the Zen, the Synergy, and the high road Pearl all get down the lane pretty well. So I'm almost thinking kind of another medium-ish length ball. I don't want something super clean, so that rules out the high road, and I think that rules out the IQ Emerald as well. The Emerald does not like volume. My Emerald, at least, I don't like throwing it when there's a lot of volume down lane. It just kind of gets over, under, and weird for me. I'm not quite sure why. So I think both of these are out. Pitch Black is definitely out. I'm not bringing 2 urethanes for 48 feet. The All Road is honestly kind of tempting in this spot. So let's kind of table that. The Hustle Ink is, I don't know. It can work really, really well when it is the play, but I haven't been throwing it a whole lot recently. I think the same goes for the IQ Tour Solid. So let's kind of play the elimination game first. So Pitch Black, High Road, Emerald, those are gone. I'm not going to take those. Looking over here, RST, I've already got the Reality, the Phase 2, and the Axiom. So between those 3, I see zero reason to take the RST or the Rubicon. RST is going to kind of overlap with, kind of sit in between the Reality and the Insight, I think, is kind of how I perceive that. But I also don't feel a gap in between those two, so I don't think I need that. And the Rubicon, taking that plus a Phase 2 plus an Axiom, I see all those as pretty close in a lot of respects, so I think those are out as well. And then my Axiom Pearl and Rubicon UC2, I literally haven't thrown either of those pretty much at all since I drilled my Zen. So I think those 4 are out. Then we have Emerald, High Road, Pitch Black are all out. And I haven't really thrown my Trend very much. I feel like I get more use out of that type of reaction from my Idle Synergy. So, basically, let's kind of roll some of this stuff out of the way. So now we are down to these 3 bowling balls that are left for this last spot, or possibly shuffling anything else in and out as I see fit. Pros and cons of each. All Road, a little bit more, it's definitely got the most stable cover from a traction and blending perspective out of the 3 of these. It is a little slow down lane, is kind of the impression I get. It's also been historically for me much better on short to medium patterns than long stuff. That plus the fact that I have 2 other balls with this same core in my bag already. Well, the High Road Pearl isn't going anywhere, but if I were to put this in, then I'm probably pulling the High Road X out. And the High Road X is one that I think on the longer stuff, I'm going to have a little more flexibility to use it there. But I can also surface it up if I really need that like high road core, but something where I need more traction from the cover and the surface prep. So I think the High Road X stays in, and I think the All Road is out. So then that leaves us with these 2. These are both 4.5 inches pin up, so same layout, very, very similar cores. You got a 4.5 inch IQ Tour and a 4.5 inch Hustle ink. This is a Utah ink that I apparently got some super glue on last time I was gluing grips in this ball, so oops. I don't have any IQs in here. That's kind of, like I mentioned earlier, it's not a ball I've been throwing a ton, but it is one of those balls where I feel like if I need it, then I really, really need it. Same goes for my Hustle ink, but the flip side of that is I do see the ink and the Hyride X is kind of a very, very similar shape. It's just the Hyride X is a little more, the ink is a little less. And I don't know. I'm a little torn here because I want to make sure I have enough equipment that'll be able to get down the lane. But on the other hand, I don't want to force myself into having to get too surface happy. So I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna follow my gut on this one, and I think I'm gonna put in the IQ Tour Solid. There is some potential. It's just kind of a note that there is some potential for overlap with these three balls, specifically the Hyride X, the Ordnance, and the IQ Tour Solid. I see all of these three as being pretty similar from an overall friction created perspective and kind of how they read the first 40 feet of the lane. But low RG, low diff, low RG, medium differential, medium high RG, medium high differential. So there's three different shapes down lane, and I think a lot of the metagame this weekend is going to be more so controlling the mid lane and then just shape subtleties of how to get my ball through the pins. So based on what I've seen of this pattern and talking to other people who have bowled on it, that's kind of how I see this going down. All right, so there you have it. This is my bag for the regional this weekend. Hope you enjoyed this video. I know there's not a whole lot of kind of show and tell, so to speak, of like showing what each ball does and showing how they all relate. Wasn't really sure how to capture that in the context of how to do this. Regardless of that, I do hope you enjoyed it. I'm definitely looking forward to learning a lot and growing a lot this weekend out on the lanes. I will do my best to get a few more more vlog style videos up throughout the course of the weekend. Just kind of documenting my time a little bit, my thoughts, not necessarily on the lanes, but kind of before and after, like the practice session and when I qualify, and hopefully I make it to Sunday and get to bowl in the Castro round and beyond that. So get a chance to take y'all along on this journey a little bit. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I hope you all have enjoyed, and as always, let me know if you have any questions. Good luck and good bowling.